And good evening. This is the April 2022 Mangan Park Neighborhood Association. I am Jennifer Holden, one of two Mangan Park Neighborhood Association leads. And we are very pleased this evening to welcome Sergeant Jeremiah Jarvis from SacPD for our Mangan Park Safety Minutes at the top of the agenda, followed by Gavin Raders and Schenirer. Councilmember Schenirer to talk about the Planting Justice facility that is hopefully coming on 34th Avenue, an heirloom tree and organic farm. We'd really love to have that going. And then we have Tom Busch of SSIP to talk about the local food closet serving our area's hungry. And I'm very happy to have Tom here to talk to us. And then I have an update on air quality monitors in our area as well to round off the evening and talk about other more local neighborhood business. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here with us this evening for these conversations. And Sergeant Jeremiah, take it away. Talk to us about safety in our area. What should we know about?
I have good things to report. That's a bad intro because I was going to say my boss isn't here, and it's not a good thing he's not here, but I am here, so that's a good thing. I'm filling in for Captain Dan and Lieutenant Brian this week. That was my second time in a row with the Mangan Park community meeting, so I am lucky for that. And then the other thing that I was just looking at some brief statistics. I was not given anything to present to you guys today, and I'm looking at least the last few weeks, and I see no car burglaries or robberies or vehicle or residential burglaries in your neighborhood. So that's a good thing to report. As far as the most recent, just from the last few weeks, like I said, I don't have as I understand it, I think they might normally give you guys stuff at the beginning, but I have that to report. And then also I just am here to listen to anything you guys have for me, any questions for me. That's one. And then two, I wanted to ask a question and we can answer them separately. If because I supervise a small team of officers that work mostly weekdays in the evenings, and if the question I would ask you if I sat down with any of you individually would be, if my officers could spend only a few minutes driving through your neighborhood, what are the things that you would want them to be most concerned about or keeping an eye out for?
I think that's something we can do. Go ahead, Janet.
I want to know when something is going to be done about the speeders on 24th Street. Just going to my dad's once a week, and I fear for my life from the people doing 50, 60 miles an hour in a 35 mile per hour zone.
So I can tell you that the way the department deals with traffic complaints, we have a couple different avenues of doing that. There's actually a traffic complaint division that we have a motor team of officers that goes and is always handling traffic complaints placed at different spots in the city. And that is prioritized citywide by the area captains above my pay grade, but I can submit that to them to be considered for sure. And then in addition, I can let my officers know that work in that area to keep an eye out or to spend some time in there for extra time. When I know if I was a resident that may or may not feel like a super good answer to me, I'd probably want to know what date are we going to stop all these speeders? I don't have 100% answer for you for that, but what I'd like to do is maybe get a phone number or an email where I could get, or you could email, I'll add mine to the message board, and you could give me some specifics on times a day or days of the week. And then I could narrow down our resources, sending them out there as far as added enforcement.
Thank you.
Would that be sufficient? Could I do that for you right now?
Sure, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'll attack it on both prongs. I'll forward it to our traffic complaint division, and then I'll talk to my officers who work in that area.
Thank you.
And we've met with Officer Gamble before, And he has heard from Janet and several other people about 24th Avenue. So hopefully Officer Gamble is cruising there a little bit more than he might otherwise. Based
I
on
have heard him out. I've heard them out there a decent amount. I don't know if specifically on that street, but once again, I'll take it up with him. I think he is the traffic officer who is assigned to our to your area.
Other concerns? Well, I will say it, just watching next door, it's been a quiet month in Mangan Park for crime. So I do cruise next door looking for complaints, problems. Catalytic converters is a common one in our area. I haven't actually seen anybody complaining on next door about a catalytic converter. I think there's been one or two porch pirate incidents. I haven't heard too much about anybody trying to live along 34th Avenue, even if that's probably been going on. I haven't heard too much chatter about it. So yeah, kind of like you, I say it's been a quiet month in Mangan Park.
Jennifer,
Must be
Jennifer,
since
this
I
is,
came on.
Yeah, Jonelle? Yes.
sorry.
That's fine.
I don't know if there was any follow-up to what happened with, I live on La Campana Way, and there was an incident, I would say probably about 6 weeks ago, I lose track of time, where a car, it was in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and a car was being pursued by police for a traffic stop, apparently. And the car came screaming down La Campana. The car was abandoned in front of one of the houses. And then the driver, I saw the whole thing unfold. The driver very quickly exited the car and disappeared by either entering the home or jumping over fences. And the entire street was blocked off. The canines were out. I'd like to know, it was my understanding later on that the person had escaped the perimeter by obviously jumping over fences, breaking out some fence boards, and then stealing a bike. Was anyone ever arrested? And it's hard for me to believe by the response that came through with everybody looking in my backyard at the canine and everything, that was just a speeding incident. So whatever additional information there is on that, I'd like to know.
Yeah, I have I wasn't working that night. Lieutenant Brian Kinney and I actually got an email from Jen about it, wondering what the word was on that night. So it was a reckless driver who then fled from officers. So while it does start out as just a regular traffic stop, when somebody is willing to drive that unsafely while fleeing, it actually can elevate it. It's a substantial felony for fleeing in a reckless manner. The problem with these incidents is if like this one, we didn't get enough officers to surround the area before he got away, is what it sounds like to me, and what I'm reading about. Pardon me, when I was looking over to my right, I was pulling up the old email that chain between Lieutenant Brian and Jennifer and I. So the suspect was able to get out of the perimeter. If the suspect had still been in the perimeter, obviously we didn't know that at the time. So that's why we're checking all the yards, doing our due diligence to make sure he's not still in the neighborhood. So unfortunately, that suspect got away. I did not know. I actually don't know the disposition of it. But what I can do is I can pull up the call. I could probably even do it while I'm after my speaking portion's done, and I can just write a comment on the right-hand side to give you an answer tonight. So I'm not leaving you hanging. I can just pull up the report real quick and give you a yes or no on whether or not the suspect's been identified or they're in custody.
Okay, thank you. I did witness that there was a passenger in the car and he was taken in, and then I saw the car being towed away. So that made me feel better, thinking that if it was just Well, and I don't mean to downplay just excessive speeding, because there's incredibly dangerous excessive speeding on our streets at all given hours of the day. If that's what it was, I felt better about at least the car was taken away and impounded. But
yeah, and when these things happen, I mean, I think a lot of the times we have suspicion that there's a reason why the person is fleeing the police, that they're not pulling over for a traffic stop, right? But at this point, we don't have any information other than that I know of at this point. No other want is kind of how we refer to it, as the person that fled from the car is not wanted for anything else at this point, other than just being involved in a vehicle pursuit and reckless driving previously to that. But like I said, I'll pull up the report real quick once my section's done, and then I'll just give you a quick update of any information I can just on the side. And you feel free to email me once again on my email. If my description is insufficient, I can give you more information if I'm allowed to give it out. So
great, thank you. And the guy was very, very determined to flee, so it does not surprise me at all that cars were not able, backup was not able to arrive quickly enough to get him, because he was fast.
Yeah, and that is like, just, I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but in the last few years too, I mean, our tactics have changed, chasing people through yards and that kind of thing. On something like this, we'd rather try and set up a perimeter and locate the subject and negotiate them out. And so sorry we couldn't get more people in the neighborhood for you. Sorry it landed in your backyard. That was not the intention. Yeah. And I'll look up the case for you.
All right, thank you.
And I will take a moment to speak up for the neighbors who got online and started chatting with me that afternoon. First of all, Janelle, I'm sorry I forgot that happened since the last neighborhood association meeting. I think it happened just a couple of days afterwards, and somehow in my mind it had gotten slid further back. But yeah, we appreciate the setup for a perimeter. If we can do anything to bring in, raise our staffing amounts for SacPD, I think we would have had an easier time controlling the perimeter. The 34th Avenue vacancies are making it harder to control the perimeter and generate an automatic invisible highway out of our neighborhood, where it's very hard to see people up against the end of the executive airport runway. And in the lack of a strong perimeter because of our vacant properties, I heard from many neighbors who were very cooperative with SacPD, and that includes Jonelle, who wanted to work with SacPD, who wanted to help, but it was also having the perimeter set up and everything going on. There was some terror from my neighbors that was reported to me. So that's even amongst people who were being supportive. We need the perimeter, but the perimeter itself was also, I was fielding stuff from the far side of the neighborhood through the evening. Let's put it that way. All of the helicopters, all of the sounds, all of the lights. Even though they weren't down on the far end of the neighborhood, I was still catching those messages through the evening, but especially on this western edge where Jonelle and I are. I didn't see anything, so I'm not able to report the way Jonelle is, but I can tell that closing the perimeter faster would have been good, but as it was, there's a lot of upset and a lot of concern and a lot of worry.
I think, I don't know if there's something I can address specifically, but anytime the police come in and kind of take over something like that, it can be a scary thing for people, especially when they're not used to seeing it, especially when maybe they're, fortunate enough to live in a spot where we don't end up in perimeters that often. So I totally understand and get that. So, but yeah, we also want to do our best to catch the person who might be running them up through your neighborhood. So we're doing our best to do that too.
We appreciate that. We absolutely, positively do. And I haven't heard from anybody who said anything like oh, why did the cops show up? There was nothing that can be done. No one's given me that chatter. So from what is said to me, SacPD still has Mangan Park support. And we are happy to work with you, and we were happy that you were there if there is anyone dangerous in our immediate yard. Yeah, that is the neighborhood association leads report on just sitting there watching social media that night, trying to take care of people, because you guys were busy working, and in the absence of being able to get a hold of you or the lieutenant or even the public information officer, I got ditty. So that's the report on what I saw and heard, trying to take care of my neighborhood and my neighbors, and make certain everybody was as comfortable and cooperative and reassured as possible, while also being well informed. Anything else? Because that was our big deal about 4 weeks ago. Anyone else have a concern? Something has come up in the conversation? I think we're good.
If nobody has anything else, I'll just kind of close on a somewhat loosely related note. But I know our department's been through a couple of big incidents since we met last, between the downtown and most recently an officer-involved shooting that happened last week. And I know that in both of those incidents, the community's help were just like absolutely necessary and integral into us being able to put all the pieces together. And so just in those two incidents, and then also just in a smaller scale, but very real and scary to you guys, in your incident with somebody running through your neighborhoods, we really appreciate the people that reach out to us and let us know what they see, make their surveillance videos and everything available to us so we can put all these pieces back together. So we just really appreciate everybody's assistance. We want to be there and meet the needs for you guys. I didn't hear any specifics on if I can only spend 5 minutes in your neighborhood driving through during my shift, but my email's up in the right hand. So if you have like, hey, this is, I think it's important for us to realize what the biggest issues are for you guys, and not just what we see on crime stats, statistics on what the issues may or may not be. So if there's something that is important to you, I can't guarantee I'm going to solve it for you, but at least I can point my officers and what they should be paying attention to so they can meet your guys' needs, or at least address them. All right. It was awesome for you guys to have me again. See you guys soon.
You are always welcome with us, Sergeant Jeremiah. Thank you for coming and joining Mangan Park this evening. And if you do have any further updates or anything, you can either pop back in to speak at the end of the next agenda item. You can put it in the chat, or you can email it to me, and I'll make certain it gets out across the neighborhood as well.
Awesome. I'll do a little research on that one incident for you right now.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. And our next agenda item is planting justice, moving to Mangan Park, hopefully. So Gavin Raders, Councilmember Jay Schenirer, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, Gavin's going to start, and then when we're done with this, I have a couple of announcements I want to do as well.
Excellent. We look forward to them. Gavin, so glad you could join us. It's been a while.
Thanks,
to us.
Jennifer.
Tell us what's going on.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to see familiar faces and names up here. Again, I'm Gavin Raders with Planting Justice, and we have been diligently working and waiting behind the scenes for the opportunity to move our nursery out to Mangan Park, and to establish an urban agricultural center, educational center, and edible plant nursery on the site of the former City Tree Nursery property, which is old news to all of you. Some recent updates that I can share is just that it's taking a very long time, as you all can tell, for us to be able to get started out there. Fortunately, we have a clear pathway to being able to start, but we're really on someone else's timetable. And what I mean by that is through some really amazing support from local elected representatives, Planting Justice, and this project in particular was able to receive funding from the budget that was passed by Governor Newsom, which is amazing news. And it's taking a very long time for that grant contract to get not only signed, but then the money to be delivered. I think it's true to say that we have done everything that we can on our end in order to process that grant, due to some really amazing support that we've received from Councilmember Schener's office and his team. And yet we learned, I believe, at our last meeting that due to the calendar that happens on the state level, folks there will not be processing our grant until perhaps August of this year. So it means that we are still in our wait and hold period, but we do have secure funding. It's just not here yet. And so it'll enable us to build out the nursery that we've designed and shown to you all with the greenhouses and shade structures and raised beds. There'll be on-site retail. There'll be a farm as well, with local, food sales and all that. And all that is funded, but we just have to. Oops, my charger got unplugged. 1 second. We just have to continue in this kind of wait and hold period. So that is impacting our ability to actually be out on the site in a regular way, because the quote that we have for the plumbing and electrical upgrades is over $200,000. And so we just do not have the funding otherwise outside of that state grant to be able to do the necessary infrastructural work that would enable us to be out there on site every day, which is, I know, a very important milestone, something that the community is very much looking forward to, which would have a real positive presence in the community due to all the concerns that that we've heard and we've talked about before. Yeah, without having people there on the daily basis, you all have lived with that reality and the negative impacts of that. So hopefully the time for the site being vacant is just a few months longer. We do hope as soon as the funding is available to be out there on the daily, building out the nursery. My goal is so that we can be getting our seeds in the ground and not lose another year. And so it's really important for us to be starting our tree seeds in the winter. And so getting all the greenhouses and shade structures built, hopefully in time for us to be seeding in the winter so we don't lose another year of production, is my goal and the goal of Planting Justice. And I'll let Councilmember Schenirer fill in any gaps.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin. I appreciate it. So obviously we want to get this going as quickly as we can. There's two things that are holding it up. One is dealing with the state on the $2 million grant that we received. And that was really thanks to Assemblymember Cooper, which was terrific. And the other is working through the city bureaucracy on a conditional use permit for the site. So that's where we've been working pretty hard. And again, as Gavin said, we're looking to the fall to have those things completed and really be able to get going on it. One other bit of news, which is hopefully a good news piece, is after some discussions with Congresswoman Matsui's staff, we're applying for an additional $1.5 million in federal funds. As you may know, the federal government has gone back to using earmarks, where individual legislators ask for certain amounts of money for certain projects. Glenda Corcoran is the district director for Congresswoman Matsui. And when we spoke about the tree nursery, she was very excited about it as a perfect project for a type of earmark, because it is very defined as what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it. So we look forward to the federal budget, which generally happens in October, which could bring us an additional 1.5 million. And some of you might have been involved. We've asked for a number of support letters from people that will turn in with the application. And everybody has been really terrific about that, you know, from Rayleigh's to a number of community-based organizations and others. So we're still excited about it. It has taken far too long. As I've said before, the city has done its best to beat the urgency out of me. But both myself and Allison on my staff and others on my staff have been working hard with Gavin to try to get this moving. So we're looking to the fall where you'll actually see it. And obviously the city has cleared the site, which is a step forward and will allow us to move quickly once the $2 million funding is processed. Happy to answer any questions.
I'll just add one other
Sure.
little detail there, Councilmember Schenirer. The extra funding is going to be really important because as we've continued to investigate the needs of the site, you know, all of the infrastructural work on the city-owned property side, you know, really is expensive. And so we're going to need to repave the parking lot. We're going to need to renovate and site a city-owned trailer, for lack of better words. I think that's basically what it is. It's sort of like a prefabricated structure to connect to all the, you know, plumbing utilities for flush toilets and break room for staff. We have to move I think a power pole in order to enlarge or reposition the egress driveway entering onto the site. And so all these things that weren't covered by the initial state grant, you know, are adding up as well too. So yeah, really grateful for all the support we're receiving. Thank you so much, Councilmember Schenirer
Sure.
and your staff.
We all want it to happen as soon as we can.
Yeah.
So again, happy to answer any questions. And Jennifer, I have two other announcements I want to make when we get done with this piece, but see if anyone has questions.
This is Jonelle again. I do have a question. If it looks like nothing will happen between now and the end of summer, with all of these late spring rains, we're going to be in the same situation we were a year ago with very tall grass in an abandoned area that is very, very prone to fire hazard with the number of homeless that we have.
Mhm.
So will there be some maintenance in that area that we can expect to happen so that doesn't happen again?
Great
Sure.
question.
If you just let us know, we will make sure we take care of it.
Yeah, we'll get it mowed. Indeed. I think May is the deadline for at least in our county for when to get things mowed. So it should probably be happening the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Question? Go.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Councilman Schenirer and Gavin, what's the lay of the land here? Talk about briefly, if you can, because I'm not a Mangan Park resident. I'm interested in the things that are going to be available. Is this open space for the community to garden? Is this just a privately owned nonprofit that will deliver out or invite people in? What's the process? How does this look on paper?
Go ahead, Gavin.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give a first crack at it.
Thank
So
you.
there's two nonprofit organizations at least to start that will be working on the site. Planting Justice is one, and Three Sisters Gardens is another. Both organizations will be providing educational programming in the community for young people who are interested in sustainability, urban agriculture, nutrition, education, and all of that will be happening both at the farm and at the nursery. That'll be coexisting on site. The farm and nursery will be open to the general public, not just to people who are customers who are interested in purchasing plants or purchasing produce, but also to people who are interested in learning more about urban agriculture and food production and plant propagation. So currently at our existing 2-acre nursery in East Oakland, we have drop-in volunteer hours every single day. Monday through Saturday, we're open to people who don't even need to sign up to volunteer. We've been there 7 years in the community, and we just have a pretty regular stream every day. There's at least somebody who's coming with their gloves and water bottle being like, I'm here to learn, I'm here to help, what can I do? And so that kind of opportunity is available as well. It's also going to be just a really beautiful place. Like we'll be doing a lot of landscaping. There'll be a lot of flowers and fruit trees and other things like that. And so what we typically do in East Oakland is also just allow people to come and have lunch there, just kind of utilize the space, have access to green space. And y'all are, pretty lucky and blessed in Sacramento. In East Oakland, where our other nursery is, we have no publicly accessible green space in the community that we're operating in. But still, it's going to be a place that people can come and learn. They can, access organic, low-cost produce and organically grown plants, which I know is really exciting for a lot of people in the community, given that the Capitol Nursery has closed down and there's not really a lot of access, especially to organically grown plants and fruit trees. And people can just come and also just be in the space. So, whether that's just to take a daily walk, to be amongst the plants, to kind of learn what they want to be learning, either at the farm or the nursery, or just to come and just have a safe outdoor place to be.
And the question was asked about whether there'll be field trips from local elementary schools. Absolutely. I mean, for those of you who know me, youth programming is something that I've really focused on over my 12 years on the council. We'll continue to do that. And I think we have an exciting opportunity to really teach young people about eating healthy, about what it takes, the science of agriculture and other things. So absolutely, we'll be working with local schools.
Our current nursery in East Oakland has about 2,500 young people who come every year on field trips to the site. And so we anticipate doing the same thing. So
Mangan Christina, Park. Just let us know when you want to come.
Well, actually, I would love for us to come like right now and get to walk the property and see the shape of the property. So if that's an open invitation for before the Planting Justice moves in, I would love for that opportunity to walk in and go check on the property with a couple of neighbors.
Sure, we could do that. Jennifer, if you want to give us some potential dates, we'll arrange to open it up and do a tour.
Great. I will ask around and get back to you about setting up some dates for a tour, because we know the property's gone through a lot of changes recently. Mm-hmm. Oh, Hollywood Park would like to come with us. Cool.
Yeah, the only thing I'll need to make sure of is that we don't have any liability issues right now. So I will.
Understood. Let's see here. A PJ. Okay. Got it. Erica, you have your hand up.
Hi, yeah, I have a question about what's the plan for growing food there when there's still currently lead fuel being sprayed by the airplanes at the executive airport?
We've done, it's a good question. Thank you, Erica. We have done tests on the property around lead, and the property is clean.
There was an extensive remediation that happened a number of years ago before the property was leased to Planting Justice, and we have all that documentation. We will also be growing quite a bit of our edible plants under cover from greenhouses.
Okay, so it'll be under, I think there is something there already that was there from before. It's like a greenhouse or something.
It's been cleaned, the site.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
But there'll be new greenhouses.
Right.
I think I also heard in Erica's question a question about current airplanes flying with lead. Anybody want to speak to that? Not past soil testing, but present air quality testing?
I think that was one thing that, Jennifer, we talked about in our last meeting here, of being able to be a site for air quality testing, which I think is really important. So if we can do that, I'd really love to. We have that currently at our El Sobrante farm site. We're pretty close to a few refineries there. And so we are sometimes impacted by the refineries. And so having that air quality on our farm site has been really important, those air quality monitoring. So I'd like for us to be able to do that, because I don't think any of us actually knows what the impact is. And so having more monitoring will really help us know that.
All right, thank you. Erica, do you have something to add?
Just that maybe Gavin, you should reach out to United Latinos because they have air monitors that they raised money for that could very much go in the area that you guys are leasing.
Awesome. I'll make a note of it.
And actually, I've already introduced Gavin to United Latinos, to Richard Falcon and Kevin Fernandez. And I have been talking more with Richard Falcon and Kevin Fernandez about an air quality monitor somewhere on 34th. And that's our 4th agenda item, Erica. So I have some exciting news to share. If Gavin and Councilmember Schenirer are around, they'll get to hear the news too, or you can catch it on the recording on Facebook in a couple of days. So we are in progress on that. Janelle, do you have a question?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Other questions from Gavin, for Gavin or for Councilmember Schenirer?
This is Kimberly. I do have a question. For this garden, will there be like classes on how to grow things?
There
Or
will.
Gavin.
Yes, absolutely. All kinds of different techniques will be covered, from soil quality and building healthy soil to composting and compost teas and other amendments. We're really on the cutting edge of sort of the beyond organic movement. So all of our production will be certified organic, but we also take many extra steps of doing plant ferments and other fermented biological sort of compost teas that we utilize, and we'll be teaching people how to make those and also distributing organic fertilizers as well. And all the way through, from soils all the way up. So around companion planting, seasonal, production, how to maximize space, and yeah, food forest gardening as well too. We'll be doing perennial production along the perimeter of the property. So around the entire perimeter, there'll be a perennial plant production as well too. And then if people are interested in propagation, that'll be happening on the daily. So everything from grafting and cuttings to seeds and all of that.
And let me just say really briefly, what back in the day when we first started this with Gavin and we did an RFP for different organizations, the reason we chose Planting Justice was because of their connections with the community. And a number of us went down to Oakland and visited what they're doing down there, which is really wonderful. I would suggest it to people if they're interested, if that's okay with Gavin, if people came down to see what they're doing.
That's another tour.
This facility will really be part of the community. That's always been the dream that we've had. Again, unfortunately, it's taken far too long, not because we haven't tried. We have spent a lot of time and effort on this over the years. But we're happy that we're finally getting to either the end line or the starting line, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think we've talked about that before. If there's a desire for folks to come down to East Oakland, because what we're doing out in Sacramento, we've already done once before out in East Oakland, and it's a really great representation of what the site in Sacramento will be like, although the Sacramento site is a bit bigger at almost 5 acres rather than the 2 that we're currently working on.
Other questions? Erica, yes, please.
Oh, I just have one last question. Are you guys open to continuing the testing?
Sure.
Definitely.
Well,
Air quality testing.
Putting air quality monitors up. Yeah, absolutely. Are we going to do more lead testing in the ground?
Yeah.
Probably not at this point. I mean, it's pretty expensive to do, and I don't know that there's a reason. We did pretty expensive testing. The one place within the tree nursery that did have a problem is where they used to bury the shell casings from the shooting range, and that's been extensively cleaned up.
Do you know a ballpark? Do you know how much it costs to do testing if you guys were to continue it?
I don't remember the number. It's quite expensive though, but I don't know that there's a need to do that, since we've really tested. We had, pretty extensive, both in the park, in the neighborhood, and in the tree nursery.
Okay, and is
And you
that,
could be in touch with us though, Erica, as we go along, because oftentimes we'll take soil tests for other purposes, not just to learn about lead and cadmium and other heavy metals, but to learn about you know, our other like nutrients and you know, yeah, various things that gives us information about our growing methods. And so we've found soil testing to be really useful on our other farm projects. And so it'll likely happen again, and it won't be probably as extensive as it was before. But in those soil tests that we do get numbers back on lead and cadmium and a few other toxicities. The other thing I'll just mention is that from my understanding, it wasn't really the overhead, you know, airline pollution that was the big contributor of the lead poisoning out there, but it was the bullet casings that were being dumped there.
Anything else, Erica, on this?
no, I would beg to differ that it's the lead, the bullets, but no, thank you for answering my questions, Jay.
Question?
And I will also kind of put something in for, since there are so many people who are environmentally minded on this call, that when, you know, I don't know how it'll happen, Gavin and Councilmember Schenirer, but I think we'd like to have any results made public somehow.
Absolutely.
You know, you can send it to me and I put them on the Mangan Park Facebook page, or once you guys have a website, or if you want to put it on the Oakland website, if there's some way we can publish the soil testing results that are being conducted, I would really love to see those results, especially even the last test that you conducted was probably in the last 2 years since the lease was signed. So
I don't know that we've done it since the lease was signed. This was when we were having all the challenges in the shooting range, and we tested extensively in the neighborhood and then around the tree nursery in the park. But all of that is public information.
okay, great. If we can set that up, and once we're on public information, I have something I've been working with your office on, and I haven't been successful yet, and I'm hoping that mentioning it tonight will help speed up the process. I would just love to have a
Jennifer,
copy
I think
of,
Alex had a question as well.
great, in just a second. And I would really love to have a copy of the contract between the city and Planting Justice. I haven't been able to find it on Granicus, and my messages to your office haven't been successful. So I would really love to have a reply back, just so that we all know the terms and conditions and what's in that contract.
Sure, is that something that your office can provide?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Questions?
Thank you.
you.
Alex, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. It'll be brief here. Councilman Schenirer, thanks. The question follows what Erica was asking, in a sense. What's the distance between that old firing range, which was cleaned up, and this garden site?
That's a good question. I would ask someone in the neighborhood. I don't know, maybe a quarter mile.
Quarter mile, okay.
Maybe.
Fine.
I mean, that's just a guess. I don't think we've ever measured it.
Right. Okay, thanks.
With the extra $1.5 million that we're hoping will be coming in from the federal government this fall.
But we didn't say it would come in the fall. They have an October budget deadline. And as you've seen from the state, these things take quite a while.
All right, so, but that's like a 2 million from the state, and we're hoping for 1.5 from the federal government. So that's a grand total of $3.5 million in Mangan Park.
And we've also gotten $120,000 over 3 years from Rayleigh's.
Okay, I did not know that. 120 what?
Thousand, over 40,000 a year for 3 years.
Okay, 40K for 3 years.
And we will do more fundraising once we get going here. We need to have something kind of to sell.
All right, excellent. So does that mean that we're going to get an updated plan if we're putting a city trailer and a lamp, moving a whole power pole and all that? Is there going to be an updated layout and plan that that will be published in 6 to 8 months?
Totally, yeah. We have that plan completed by our architect already for the conditional use permit. So I think once we complete that application and send that in, I think we can send that to you, Jennifer. The
Oh,
site plan.
yes, please.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. I'll make, a big old Mangan Park deal out of that. I know people would love to hear about that.
And we'll have large printouts as well too when we do a tour.
Oh, you're talking my language.
Yeah.
You know what we'd like. So that would all be wonderful, well and good. Now then, that city trailer on the site kind of had me with some questions, if there aren't other questions from the people here. Okay, raise your hand if you do have questions. But if the city is putting a trailer on the site with Planting Justice, how is that, how is the city going to be involved in the day-to-day operations of the site if the city has a trailer of their own that's going to need plumbing and infrastructure?
The city's actually making that available for the nonprofit staff use.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a daily city use.
I don't envision the city being involved day to day in the operations.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that clarification. And before I make my next statement, is there anything else from the neighborhood or, any of the people on the call?
I just want to respond to Christina's comment real fast. In addition to what'll likely be perhaps a smaller tour kind of with this Mangan Park Neighborhood Association and other folks on your network, there's going to be a larger tour as well too, likely in the summer before we are operating there on the day-to-day basis, which will, we have restrictions on the numbers of people who can be on the site given the proximity to the airport. I think it's 50 people per acre max. But that being said, we will also do a more public event of some kind.
It's just 50 people on the site.
Oh, 50 people on the site total. I think that has been described. I've heard that 2 different ways, Jay. I originally remember 50 people per site, and then
we can check.
Okay.
We can check. It's been a while.
I do remember hearing that parcel is zoned for no more than 50 people at a time due to its proximity to the airport. So that tickles my brain too, that we try to keep it under 50 people on that site. Sachiko, you have a question?
Just a quick question, because I'm just hearing about the project. So they're going to be farming on this site or doing plantings and stuff like that. Are the plantings going to be edible plantings? Because that's a concern with, if it still has some toxicity there, are you going to be like letting people know, hey, you're planting stuff, but it might be getting toxins in it?
No, the site has been cleaned up. There was an extensive site remediation that happened that I think cost many hundreds of thousands of dollars to scrape out all of the soil that was tested to be toxic. So that has been completed already.
And when is the last time that it was tested, for that site? If it was cleaned some time ago, when was the last time it was tested before you guys actually open up the project? Because, things can continue to come up from the ground. So, I mean, that's just a question.
I'm not sure when it was. It was before it was leased to us, because in the lease, all of that information was provided to us as the lessee.
There's a tremendous amount of information based on all of the testing that we did, and we're happy to make that accessible. I mean, it's been public information. The press had it. It's nothing that we were trying to hide, and we will make that. And if someone wants to look at it, we can make it accessible again. But the shooting range has been shut down. It has been sealed off. It was the exterior of the range has been cleaned completely of that building. And so I don't know why it would, why we would need to do it again at this point. And if Gavin is doing testing on a somewhat ongoing basis for small pieces of it, I think that should be sufficient. And again, it was said that what we did have was from the shooting range. It was because there were problems there with the building and with the venting system. It wasn't from the airport.
I'd just like to throw out there, I live across from the shooting range and my property was tested and it tested clean. So.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of accumulation of bullet casings that were being dumped on the property
right
at some point, which was a big issue.
But I think, Gavin, if my memory is correct, and it's been a while now, in that corner of the property where that was happening, that was the only place that really had problems. The rest of the property was not a problem.
That's right.
Other questions? Okay, so then also just to kind of, you know, every now and then I get like social media messages and stuff from neighbors. If there's any other concern outside of just, you know, we're a little worried about the effect the airport is having on our local environment. There's also some concerns about the staff that I understand Planning Justice can bring in. And now then I'm relaying this on behalf of other people who aren't here tonight, especially from people who live in that part of the neighborhood. They are worried about recent jail inmates who might be working there. So that's a security concern that's also kind of in our minds just a little bit. And that if there's anything that you can do as you're moving in to reassure us, like security background, other security kinds of background checks, other ways we can make certain that the area is, you know, everybody who's there is going to play well together. Because I've gotten a couple messages from people on this western side of the neighborhood who say something like, oh, my own brother is a former convict and I wouldn't want him working on the farm at the end of my street. I've actually got that message. So, you know, anything you can say to reassure those people at this point?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've addressed multiple times, but Gavin, why don't you address it with the folks that you have, the recidivism rate?
Sure.
And who it is that you're bringing in.
Yeah, so Planting Justice has 65 full-time staff members. I think 30 members of our staff are formerly incarcerated people. It is a part of our mission to be creating full-time living wage jobs for people who have barriers to employment, which includes, incarceration, but is not solely. It's also folks who have been long-term unemployed, and also folks who have other structural or systemic barriers to employment. And so it is a big part of our mission. And what we've been doing over the past 13 years now is demonstrating that with wraparound support, we have a reentry team that provides housing, mental health support, with access to full-time living wage work and a supportive community, that we're really actually increasing the safety in the community. And we're doing that by giving people pathways to really healthy and dignified employment. And so what we've seen over the past 13 years, we've had about 75 formerly incarcerated staff members over the past 13 years. We've had only one person go back to jail or prison on a new charge out of 75 people, and that's over 13 years. And so we've been staying in touch with our staff who are no longer with the organization, who have moved on to other things. And we're demonstrating that the state's 65% recidivism rate is not a foregone conclusion, that with a different type of approach that includes living wage employment and benefits and wraparound support, that people don't need to commit crimes out of desperation, which oftentimes is what's happening when folks do not have basic needs met and they're under the throes of addiction or alcoholism or other things. Then they often are committing crimes out of desperation, property crimes or other thefts and other things like that. And so we have a really great track record. Of course, we're not going to be bringing staff from Oakland out to Sacramento. The whole point is to be creating jobs locally for people in Sacramento. And so we'll be working closely with other allied organizations for referrals. And also working with the schools and high schools that we're working at, because we have this kind of double-edged sort of approach, is that we want to provide opportunities for people before they get involved in activities that would end up in incarceration. And so that's working with young people who have just graduated high school before going off to college, who are looking at potential career in this field, or looking for some sort of career that would be exciting and healthy for them, and wanting to help people sort of avoid those paths. And so what we've seen is that people are making tremendous transformations in their lives. And it happens sometimes slowly, but people are, giving up alcohol, they're changing their lives, they're changing the way that they talk and relate to their family members and to the people around them. And what we've seen is that it actually becomes a snowball effect. So when folks are seeing people that used to be, selling pot on the street corner or standing outside the liquor store all day long, when they see those people that they knew in their community who are now actually making physical transformations, and making really deep personal transformations, it really helps inspire other people in the community to be like, hey, what is this person doing? Can I do something similar and get involved? And so oftentimes what we see is that the people who come onto our staff are already vetted by those current staff. And we've seen that in East Oakland, where when we started with a small core of people, maybe 5 or 6 people in the community at first to start, they started bringing on their friends and family members who they grew up with, who they know very closely. And so, we often very rarely are hiring people that we don't have some sort of accountability mechanism already built in. If people are working alongside people that they knew growing up, or that are even members of their family, that we have that ability to get to vet people before they come on to our staff.
And Gavin, can you talk about the types of incarceration, or not the types of incarceration, the types of crimes people have committed? I mean, my understanding, we're not talking about people who've been convicted of murder or rape, things like that. These are low-level crimes.
Yeah, it's mostly drug offenses, property crimes. I basically, put them in the bucket of people who are, battling addiction oftentimes, or are really struggling financially, and are, doing kind of acts of desperation. And that's how oftentimes people start in the criminal system, and is often nonviolent drug offenses and other things. And so we really want to help catch people on the early end of that, kind of involvement. And again, that's just a part of what we do. It's not everyone who will be hired out at the site. The person who is a founder of Three Sisters Gardens, Alfred Melbourne, is himself formerly incarcerated. So, I know and I understand, where the stigma comes from. It makes sense, and I understand, as a member of the community in Mangan Park, you want to make sure that obviously that the community and continues to improve. We don't want to see anything that would happen as a result of Planting Justice being there, which has never happened in 13 years. We've never had a staff member commit any crimes on the job or anything like that. It just hasn't happened. The only person who went back on a new charge was 18 years old at the time. We had been working with him since he was a high school student. He was stealing computers. He got caught when he was 18. He went back to jail for a very short time and came out. And that's the only person who has gone back as a result of afterwards of being employed with Planting Justice.
Sachiko, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I think actually Jay asked my question that that I was wondering about the types of crimes the people had committed. So thank you for answering that. I think that puts some people's minds at ease, and it does make a huge difference whether you have, you know, a rapist or someone who made a poor choice and was selling drugs next to you on there. So thanks for clarifying that. And that sounds like a really good program of success rate for you. So thanks.
And just to be explicit or specific, we don't hire people who have been convicted of sex crimes.
Thank you for that. And I think the second person with their hand up is Christina Rogers.
Hey, yeah, I have a question for you, Gavin. So you said that, you know, some of the that these people are going to have wraparound services, and you have a, you know, a hiring process. Are you going to be looking at pulling folks from maybe St. John's Program for Change or the Salvation Army, some of our local programs that do a fabulous job? One of the things that they do require, though, is sobriety for people to be part of their program. So it seems like it would be a good opportunity for people in those positions.
Thank you so much. As we get going and as we're building up, it's these types of referrals and recommendations that are super valuable for the project. So I really appreciate those. I'm going to put my email address in the chat as well too. And so I really recommend people to connect me to others that you know of who are doing aligned work or similar work, because it really is those referrals that are often the super important, you know, because those folks have already developed some kind of track record at those places in terms of their work ethic, commitment to sobriety. But oftentimes those jobs don't really have any, you know, growing areas for them. You know, people kind of reach a dead end and are looking for some other form of employment. And so that's exactly what we're hoping to be able to provide for people.
Okay, great.
Thank you for the question.
And I just wanted to also, on the leaded fuels topic, I've just been learning while listening to these conversations that lead fuel is still being used by single engine aircraft, but hasn't been used by commercial aircraft. And I know that single engine aircraft probably still comes through Sacramento, but I think it's a very small percentage of the numbers of flights that are coming through.
Well, whatever happens, you know, we're paying attention to environmental issues. I know we're in love with the idea of an organic farm and heirloom tree nursery at the end of our street, but we're also looking out to improve our environment in every single way. Next month, we're going to have SMUD here to talk about an update on their carbon-free by 2030 plan. And I've got some other ideas to try to help reduce our carbon footprint in the area and make Mangan Park as green as possible. So I know you care about these things, Gavin, and you know you're in good company. We're all working on this together to make certain the Mangan Park is safe and healthy, because some of what's driving this, so that Councilmember Schenirer also knows, is that I have read, and some of the other people on this call have read, the Cal EnviroScreen 4.0 results for the census tract for Mangan Park, as well as the EPA's EJ screen that recently came out. Our Mangan Park and its surrounding area score really super high on respiratory illnesses and cancers. We have a 94% compared to the state rate of asthma in this neighborhood. So, and that's just asthma. We aren't even touching on the other areas. We're always somewhere around, you know, 93, 94, 97% compared to the state or the nation on some very significant respiratory problems. So I'm definitely heading up the effort to sort out exactly what that is. Maybe it's lead, but maybe it's PM 2.5. Maybe it's other exhaust coming from the airport. Maybe it's not exhaust from the airport. Maybe we are in the path of winds coming up from other directions that's depositing it here. Maybe we're in a lower spot. So, you know, we're going to be looking at this as a neighborhood, and whatever happens, we all know that the greener you can make the neighborhood, more trees, more bushes, more plants, more everything, the less these things matter also. So we need to get SMUD and our trees in. We need to have lots of green leafy things, and or an organic farm and tree nursery at the end of the street would help. We need to look at what we've got going on in the park and just green this place up, and find ways to test and monitor till we sort what's happening to our children out. Make certain that we are creating a safe place for people to live. So that is why you hear some concern here, not only from me, but from other areas, is because we're reading the scans and they're not good for some parts of Sacramento, and we want to know why. Any other questions? I think we're probably kind of wrapping this one up unless we've got something else going.
I say yes. Curiously, the use of mushrooms, Gavin, have been touted as a way to clean up soil. Have you had experience with any of that in any of your sites or any sections of your sites where you need a natural deterrent or a natural cleanser?
I've read quite a bit about that, the work of Paul Stamets, the use of oyster mushrooms in cleaning up oil spills and that type of thing. I know that they need to be treated like toxic materials after being grown, obviously. And yeah, I've mostly read about it in relation to hydrocarbons. I do know of other methods that have been used, like with sunflowers and other types of plants for phytoremediation as well too, utilizing plants to uptake lead, but actually the results on that seem to be not so clear. There's programs that are happening in West Oakland where there's really high lead content of spreading out some form of like calcium carbonate or something like that, which binds with the lead as opposed to taking it out. So yeah, I've been trying to stay up to date on some of those, but thankfully, the site was cleaned before we got there of the lead poisoning.
Okay, thank you.
Any other last final questions? All right, well, I am going to say this agenda item is drawing to its conclusion. Gavin Raders, Councilmember Schenirer, thank you so much for coming this evening and talking to us and sharing all of this wonderful information with us. You've really given us quite a bit to process and work on, and some fabulous opportunities coming up, for which we are all very grateful. And both of you are welcome to stay if you'd like to hear about the local food closet and about my work with United Latinos on getting air quality monitors and setting up an air quality monitor team in Mangan Park. Maybe pull in some Hollywood Park. I don't know. We'll see. So
I wish I could. If I could have 2 quick announcements, Jennifer,
children.
if I could do those.
Bye, everyone. I'll say goodbye. And
bye,
Jay's got a few
Gavin.
announcements.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Gavin.
Great to see you, everybody.
Yeah, 2 quick announcements if I can, Jennifer.
Yes, please.
One is SHRA, the Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency, has a lead hazard reduction program. So a good segue from our discussions before. It's an opportunity to apply for grants up to $10,000 per unit. I put in the chat very early on SHRA's email and phone number. If you want to apply for those dollars, we wanted to make sure, particularly this neighborhood, because we have done the testing. If you want to apply, you should go ahead and do that. And then the other thing is that the pool will be open June 17th. That is the date. We don't have the hours yet, but as soon as we do, we will post them.
Oh, June 17th. That's a little later than I thought it would be. I thought it was more like going to be the 6th or 7th or something. Any delays in its construction happening?
I don't know. I was just given the date.
Okay, got it. Well, I do appreciate you going and looking for that, even though that wasn't, I didn't send that request to you in advance. So thank you very much. I'll be happy to publicize all of that. I'll get with Sean Swanson and check on that, how the poll is progressing, because I have been down there. I've seen them working in the last week. We're excited. We're hopeful. We really want that pool open.
Yeah,
So
I also believe the city is still looking for lifeguards. So if you know of any folks, or particularly young people who are interested in learning how to be lifeguards, send them our way.
Cool. You know what? I will see if there's anything on the aquatics website that'll give me a cool graphic or something that's easy to share, and get that out on the Mangan Park Facebook page and out on Nextdoor. That might go faster too. Sachiko.
Is the city willing to train the youth to become lifeguards, or do they already have to be lifeguards?
No, they have a training program.
Oh, great. Who's the contact person? Do you know?
Why don't you contact our office and we'll hook you up to the right people.
And hey guys, just Sachiko, just to let you know, if you go to youth parks over at the city website, you're going to find it there. They have a whole program for kids. I think they even have some grants and stuff going on. So it's very cool.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. And actually, Jay, before I let you go, something else that's kind of totally unrelated. It's just a quick question I'd love to ask you. Do you have any updates on what District 5 is looking like right now? Do you know where the boundary lines on District 5 are today?
Today, it is the old District 5. Sorry, I have a puppy that wants to go out. It'll be a council item tomorrow with some options to look at. So after tomorrow, I'll have a better answer for you. But as of today, it's the old District 5.
Okay, but there's an agenda item I can try to get out and, make certain we're there to pay attention and hear what happens tomorrow night at the city council.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate that update. Thank you so very much. That is great information. All of it has been great information. Thank you so much. It's been a long time since we've heard from you, and we're grateful to hear from you this evening.
All right. Well, have a good night. Thank you.
Same to you. Oh, Sachiko, did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry. I just forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, so going on to our third agenda item, which is Tom Busch of the SSIP, who has a food closet that's operating in Bethany Church on 24th Avenue, right across the street from the edge of Mangan Park's borders. And I have heard many, many fine things. I know the Hollywood Park Neighborhood Association is very active with the SSIP out of Bethany Church. So Tom, would you like to tell us more about the work and of feeding the hungry in the area and how we might be able to help out with the cause?
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. My name is Tom Busch. I'm the chair of the South Sacramento Interfaith Partnership, also commonly known as SSIP. SSIP is a coalition of area congregations that has operated a food closet on the campus of Bethany Presbyterian Church, located at the corner of Fruit Ridge Road and 24th Street for more than 50 years. The SSIP Food Closet is open 5 mornings a week from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. We have a paid part-time staff of 4 and more than 100 volunteers, 10 to 12 of whom are on duty on any given day. We pick up food from our grocery partners, Nugget, Rayleigh's, Trader Joe's, and Grocery Outlet, 7 days a week. And we receive deliveries of canned foods and dried goods from twice a week from the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. The need for our services has increased substantially since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. In 2019, we served an average of about 5,100 individuals per month. In 2020, that number increased to more than 8,700 a month, and our 2021 figures were comparable. So far in 2022, due in part to the impact of the increased cost of food, we have served over 27,000 individuals in the first 3 months of the year, more than 9,000 per month. As a result of this increase in the need, we have outgrown our current space, and we are actively looking for more space. While our daily on-site complement of volunteers is currently satisfied, there are many ways of assisting us off-site, such as collecting egg cartons and paper grocery bags and plastic bags that we use to package food, providing us with homegrown produce, and providing us with items that our clients need but that we do not purchase, such as toiletries, diapers, and pet food. We also have a number of committees that meet monthly, including a food closet operations committee, communications, finance, and fund development, which are always in need of interested volunteers. If you would like to become involved, we will help you find a way. Our financial needs have also increased, and fundraising is a major activity for us. While we welcome financial support at any time of the year, a major giving opportunity is right around the corner. The big day of giving is May 5th, but giving for that effort actually starts later this week on April 21st. To give, just search the internet for Big Day of Giving, click on Find Nonprofits, and search for SSIP Food Closet. So I'd like to thank Jennifer for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening about SSIP, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
The floor is open. Anybody have questions?
I'll start. Tom, you are served by Hope United Methodist Church. So our people are there supporting, and they talk about that in our church service quite a bit. The site, you said you're looking for a location, so the logical place would be right there in the Mangan Park or somewhere in the Fruit Ridge area, so that your recipients won't have to go very far. But over on the far side of the world is the old Army depot, which probably has space. Is that too far away?
That may be a little far away for our current folks, and we are actually hoping that we can expand on the Bethany campus itself. So that's what we're looking at right now. But certainly, the Army Depot is something that we could look at.
Other questions? Okay, so let me kind of try to summarize or frame or maybe gather a little bit more information, because this will be a recording that goes on our social media. I see you, Barry, just a second. It's going to go on our social media. We're going to have people who both maybe want to help watching. We're going to have people who are maybe also in need watching. We could have it go both ways coming out of my neighborhood. So I'm going to let Barry speak, and then I'll come back and I will kind of like try to put together, if there are people who are listening who want to help, how they can help or participate. And if there are people who are going to be listening who want some help, how they can find help at this facility. So Barry, go ahead.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening to everyone. Tom, if you would put all your contact information and the church's location in the chat, I would appreciate that. And it should go without saying, I believe it was already stated, fantastic job for what you and those who work around you are doing. Simply put, there is always a need for food. Being one that always likes to eat, I can say that first handedly, but there are a lot of folks out there who just don't have the easy accessibility of opening a refrigerator and pulling out what they want, let alone having housing to house that refrigerator. So again, thank you for all of what you've done and what you're doing. And again, your information would be fantastic. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Okay, I see that information going into the chat. I will make certain that it's public. Also, when I get the contact information put on social media. So I'm just kind of taking a moment to go, okay, so if people would like to help, one, you're looking to expand the Bethany facility. Is there anything we can do to help with that?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but we will certainly keep you in mind if there's any assistance that we now if you know of other locations in the Mangan Park area, because we would like to stay very close to where we are. We've been there for more than 50 years now. Our clientele knows where we are and is familiar with that area and our hours, and so we really would like to stay there. So if there are other locations in that area, we would be happy to learn about them and to investigate them.
What kind of facilities do you need?
Well, we're looking for pretty much warehouse space, and we would like to have, if possible, about 5,000 square feet under one roof. I mean, that would be ideal for us. Currently, our building is only a little over 1,000 feet, and we work like an accordion. We move pallets of food out in the morning, out into our driveway space, and work there, and then we move them back in at night. We have a couple of storage sheds, and we have some additional space on the Bethany campus where we store food. But we, ideally would like to have everything all under one roof.
Got it. So you need 5 times the space you've got right now, and you'd like to keep it around 24th and Fruit Ridge. Okay,
Right.
And you need kitchen facilities. You also need open space.
We don't really need kitchen facilities. We don't cook any food on the premises. We just distribute food.
All right, got it. Thank you. So we're looking for 5,000 distribution feet. Kimberly, do you have a question?
I do. If you want to donate, where would you take the stuff, and do you have specific areas of donation?
Okay, if you are talking about homegrown produce or canned goods, dry goods, you can bring them to the food closet, which is again on the campus of the Bethany Presbyterian Church, the corner of Fruit Ridge Road and 24th Street. Any morning between 8 a.m. and noon, there will be somebody there that could take things. Now, and again, as I say, it's not only food, but there are items like diapers, pet food, toiletries, items that our clients need, but that we do not purchase ourselves. We have those donated to us.
Okay, and is that 7 days a week for those of us who work?
5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Okay. Okay, because I guess I work 7 to 4, so that, I mean, if I wanted to drop something off, that's not feasible.
Well,
I got an answer for you. Sacramento Japanese United Methodist Church has been working with SSIP for many, many years, and they're open on Sundays. So if you're able to go to the church during a Sunday, there's usually a table, and it's that you can say this is for SSIP, and the volunteers can put it with them and then take it when they take their normal donations to the food closet.
correct. Thank you for that. And in fact, all of our partner churches have drop-off places at those churches on Sunday mornings. So so there are places that you can drop things off.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So Kimberly, did we take care of your question?
Yes, yes.
You
did.
know where the Japanese United Methodist Church is?
I think so. I can Google it if I, just to make sure.
Faith,
It's right off of Florin, close to Franklin and Florin, that area.
yeah.
Okay.
Faith Presbyterian is another location, which is on Florin Road. 625 Florin Road is the address.
It's close to Kennedy High School in the pocket.
Correct.
So
Okay.
Correct.
I'm hearing Florin and Franklin, or Florin in the pocket.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And what kinds of, oh, there are some other hands up. Let's see here. I'm not certain who had their hand up first. I just know it's Chris and Sachiko.
Well, I'll go ahead and go really quick. I did put it in the chat, but Tom, have you reached out to your county supervisor at all to ask them if there's any spaces or any locations that they might know of?
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay. That's it.
What was their answer, by the way? Did they have any thoughts for you, Tom?
Well, we haven't gotten anything currently, but they're looking.
Okay, so they're kind of in play right now. So Sachiko, your hand is down. Are you no longer have your question?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna take Sachiko. Are you there?
Yeah, my internet is kind of wonky right now. I said no, my question was answered. Thank you so much.
All right, got it. So Tom, we've talked about what people can donate, so we're on that side of things. And or where they can donate. You said toiletries and such. Could you give us a more complete list?
Well, certainly toilet paper and small toiletry items like shampoo, soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, those kind of personal items.
Okay. And so we've got, and you're saying small toiletries.
Correct.
I'm also assuming that means ladies' equipment as well?
That's correct. Yes. And diapers is something that our clients are always asking for. Adult diapers and children's diapers.
Good distinction to make. Okay, and so those are things that are in high demand that people need. Do you ever do people come to you and they're asking for help with either pet food or pet supplies?
Yes, pet food. We distribute quite a bit of pet food that is donated to us. Not other type of pet supplies, but pet food. Yes.
Okay, pet food! Exclamation marks. Christina, question?
Yeah, I just thought of something else. I used to be a Girl Scout troop leader, and I know that the Girl Scouts are always looking for projects, for badges and things like that. Have you ever reached out to the Girl Scout Council here in Sacramento?
I don't know about Girl Scouts, but we certainly have had Scouts come in and help us sort cans. We've had youth group from Faith Presbyterian Church has helped us on a number of occasions sorting cans because we have to, all the cans that come into us, we have to check them for dates. We have to check them for whether they're dented or not. And then we sort them into various categories so that we can parcel them out. So yes, Scouts and we have had Scouts help us on a number of occasions.
Yeah, great, because I'm sure the Girl Scouts Heart of Central California group, they're over on Elvis Avenue. I bet they would love to get that information out to all their troops in Sacramento, either to volunteer there at the church or to do some donations and some collections.
Yeah, and we've had that have them do those kinds of things too, collections.
Oh, great.
In fact, much of the, we're active in the Kids Can program in the fall, KCRA Kids Cans. And so we get lots of cans from various schools that collect for us. And those cans, as I say, have to be sorted and parceled out. And so yes, we do have collection activities from various schools, and Scouts have collected cans for us as well.
Good, thanks.
Is there another hand up? Actually, I think that's Chris's hand. Any other questions? Okay, so we have got where to donate. We've got lists of what to donate. Are there any committees or any other forms of support people can give to the SSIP? What kinds of are there any jobs that people can do if they're looking for a good cause to volunteer for?
Yeah, absolutely. We always need committee members. We have 4 active committees that meet once a month. We have a food closet operations committee. We have a communications committee. We have a finance committee. And we have a fund development committee. And excuse me, particularly fund development is an area where we're always looking for opportunities to get additional funding, and folks who know how to write grants or know how to find grants are very much welcome.
Grant writers, woohoo! If you find some, I got some work for them to do too. Do you need any other types of help, like social media, getting the word out, letters, anything else?
Yeah, well, again, our communications committee does all of those items and can always use additional individuals to help. So committee activities are really something that we encourage and that we need.
How often do those committees meet, and where do they meet?
They all meet monthly. Typically, they meet at the Bethany Presbyterian Church campus.
Okay. And so I think that kind of takes care of the side of people who want to help in a variety of ways, either through donations of materials or donations of time. And then the other side of it is if people are in need, what do they do? Where do they go? When do they go there? Let's make that real crisp and strong and clear for them as well.
Okay, show up any morning during the week, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and we'll sign them up. People self-certify as to their eligibility for the services, and we sign them up, get some basic information on a number of people and their families, and they're good to go.
So Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 11:30.
9 to 11:30. 9 a.m. to 11:30.
9 a.m. to 11:30 at Bethany Presbyterian Church at 24th and Fruit Ridge.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom? Anything else you want to share with us, Tom?
Well, I just thank you for the opportunity. And again, if you're interested in helping, we'll find a way for you to do that.
Wonderful. Actually, I just had a thought, something that I should have asked before. It's funny how my brain, catches up with me sometimes. Do you have any idea how many people are served at the Bethany facility on a weekly basis?
Well, we this year so far we have been serving 9,000 people per month. That's we typically have we're averaging right now about 150 families a day coming into us.
Yeah, that comes out to about 400 people, which is about 150 families. So God bless you all. Yes. That has there been a recent increase in the numbers?
Yes, we're as I say, last year we served approximately 8,000 individuals per month. So far this year in the first quarter, we're serving an average of 9,000 per month.
Oh, wow. Okay, and that's just Bethany. Do you have any idea about the other SSIP food closets in the area?
Well, that is our food closet, but there are a number of other food closets in the area. I think we are the only one that's open 5 days a week.
Okay.
A number of them are open just 1 day a week. So there are other food closets in the area, but we're the only ones open 5 days a week.
Okay. Got it. So your numbers will be a little higher because you serve more days.
Correct.
But I'll ask you, and Tom and I know each other through other channels. So I'll check back in with you, Tom. I'd love to help track how many you're serving and when, because I'm a blooming housing advocate. There's some other housing advocates on this call tonight, and we're really watching our numbers of homeless as they develop. So there's a concern for making certain people have housing. There's also a concern for making certain people have food. And there are a lot of golden-hearted people who'd love to donate to the food, but we also kind of need to keep track of how many people are reporting, because these are all essential items for the people who are the most vulnerable. And there just seems to be a lot of the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and we need our numbers. So if you would start tracking that, and I'll help you get those numbers out there so that we can not only say how many people are, increasingly homeless, how many people are also coming and asking for food, because if they can get food, maybe they're not homeless. So we're kind of working on it from that angle. So I'd love to keep up to date with you on those facts and figures, and make certain they get published, that
Sure.
we know just how many people are asking for help, because the numbers just keep growing at, to me, an alarming rate. And we're probably always going to blame it on the COVID pandemic, but I don't think that's the only force at work here. So
we publish a newsletter 4 times a year. If you'd like to subscribe to that, there's no cost to it. Just send us your mailing address or email address. We send it out both ways, and you can send that to our main email address, which is info@ssipfoodcloset.org, and you can get on the list for getting a newsletter.
and is that the address you already gave us before?
No, I gave you my address. I'll type it in here right now.
Oh, yes, please. Let us know the one to get the newsletter so that we can stay on top of these things with you. Okay, any other questions for Tom?
Yes.
Alex,
Tom?
please.
Yes, Tom, the former conversation that we had about food has to have some impact on what you want to do or at least what you can recruit out of the garden that should be underway here in what, a year or so or less? Yeah. So are you focused on any of the opportunities that exist over there? Maybe to include informing them of what your clientele generally enjoys: carrots, cabbage, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we sent a letter of support for the Planting Justice garden. So we are aware of those folks. We do get produce that's grown from other community gardens, so we will definitely be looking at the Planting Justice site as a source for us.
Great, thank you.
I am super glad to hear that, Tom. I had not heard that before. So I'm really glad that you guys are all able to talk to each other and work together, and that you wrote them a letter of support.
Yes.
Any other questions? Because I'm watching the clock. I still have another agenda item, and Tom has been very helpful. Any other questions? All right, I am going to say, Tom, thank you so very, very much. We really appreciate all of the work that you do to help the poor in Sacramento. You're a valuable asset. And we also thank you for coming by this evening and sharing this information and opening up this connection. Anytime you want to come to Mangan Park and give a report, you know that I am very happy to talk to you and help you get any words out.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, and it was a pleasure speaking with all of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It definitely has been. Have a good evening. If you want to stay and listen to air quality monitors in Mangan Park, you may.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
And for those of you who are still on the call, we are down to our final 9 people. Let me actually check how many Mangan Park people I still have. I have Kimberly here. Thank you. And otherwise I've got people from other parts of town, so I'm going to address it that way. You've kind of heard that we've got some air quality problems in the area that I'm working on. And I have spoken with United Latinos, and they would like to install an air quality monitor in Mangan Park around May 1st. Now then, that's an around because we've got some questions about our chosen location. And but regardless of that, it's going to be sometime, hopefully May 1st, but maybe a little bit later, depending upon some construction in the area, because we're afraid of construction messing with the air quality results. And you know, so the project is going to run May through July, and that's either the start of May to mid-July or the end of May to the end of July. But we are going to need a team of hopefully at least 2 to 4 people. And if you're in the area and you want to participate in this, I'm actually just fine accepting people from outside of Mangan Park, because Mangan Park is small. To be the people who come and take our samples. And make certain those samples get turned into the lab for the results. So we need actual manpower to manage the samples, put in clean filters, take the sampled filter and get it into the lab, and then replace the filter itself. That needs to be done every 6 days for the 2+ months that we will have the monitor. This monitor isn't a permanent year after year thing. So right now we're looking at 2 months worth, and we need people to every 6 days to come and work with the samples, collect them, set it up for another sample. The first month will be lead, exclusively lead. We will sample for lead only. That's the way the monitor is set up. It's only going to test for one something at a time. And then based upon those results, we'll either do another lead or we will switch over to a PM30 or a PM10. This is an ARA near federal monitor. I still need to do some checking in with the federal monitoring people, but the response I was given for why it's a near federal monitor is because the only way you get a federal monitor is it's from the federal government. But it's as close as we can get without the monitor coming from the federal government. Now then, my efforts to get a federal monitor have not stopped. The next time there is a federal District 9 EPA community check-in is next April 26th, Tuesday, and I think it starts at 6 o'clock. If you want that invitation, I will send you the invitation to that meeting. Just a moment. So that meeting, I'm sorry for the pause. I had to deal with my dog for a minute. He was misbehaving. So next April 26th is the next Region 9 Federal EPA check-in they actually use MS Teams. And it's not Zoom, but it is an online meeting. And if you're concerned about air quality in your area, you're more than welcome to come and join us. So I will keep working on getting a federal monitor in the area, but right now United Latinos is making me this offer, and it's right now. And depending upon the results we get, we might be able to extend it beyond the 2 months, but we're definitely looking at the 2 months, and I need some manpower to check it. It will be a really pretty cool science experiment. They sent me a packet of information about air quality monitoring. It is a little thick. It's going to tell me about air quality principles and definitions, air monitor operation, and there's a question and answer session. And anybody who joins our team to collect the samples will also have a training April 30th. We're still settling on the location, but it'll be officially from 9 to noon. But we'll start a little sooner for, social gathering chit chat, and we'll stay later because they'll include a lunch in there as well. So I understand there's breakfast treats to get us started and there's lunch involved. And we're looking at some local meeting places. So maybe La Familia, maybe the Sojourner Truth Museum are a couple of places we're fielding right now. But it's going to be here near Mangan Park with some breakfast treats and a proper lunch afterwards included. And we can go up to 10 people who want to be a part of this team. As much as I've said, really, we need 2 to 4 people, we can go up to 10. You will get all of this training, all of this information. You will learn about air quality monitors and how the collections and the samples and everything works. So that is where we are right now on air quality monitoring in Mangan Park, and getting some of our own lead testing done, and maybe looking at some other particulate matter results if the lead isn't remarkable. Because as someone who lives here at the takeoff end, there are small engine aircraft that take off every day that are running on a low lead fuel. It's not no lead like San Jose, it's on a low lead. I know that there are some lead particulates falling on Mangan Park every day. But what is causing our respiratory problems that I referenced before? We don't know if it's lead. We don't know if we're getting an abnormal amount of particulate matters of different types, because we also have big jets that are taking off there. I think most likely there are a bunch of private jets that don't want to get mixed up with the international airport traffic. And we have some big private jets that are using this airport because it's smaller and probably easier to get in and out of if you are not a commercial airplane. So those might be flying on unleaded fuels, but they might be distributing more carbon and other types of particulate matter. So I don't think lead is the only thing we have to worry about. I want to test for both lead and for other particulate matters. And I'm also, why I'm encouraging everybody to come into these community check-ins and get to know our state and federal EPA staff, is because we probably need to work on a whole lot more air quality monitoring throughout some parts of the north area and some parts of the south area, and get those federal monitors in and make certain that it's all publicly released. Because once again, this monitor, when I get the information, I'll be releasing it, but it's not going to be easy to find. It's not going to be on the SMA QMD public reporting site. So I want proper testing in our testing deserts in Sacramento, and I want them hooked up to the federal and state reporting systems. So that will be a work in progress, something to pay attention to. But as of right now, if there's anybody in the area who wants to become, who wants to actually operate an air quality monitor within Mangan Park and test for lead and PM30 or PM10 with Mangan Park, starting late this spring into early summer, I'm taking names. Any takers? Anybody want to be a part of this team? You'll get food, you'll get companionship, you'll get real scientific, knowledge. You'll be a part of the process so that we can all get better at this. Yes, I will be taking the training and doing all of that myself. I will be right there with you. So, anybody interested? I saw that, Eric. Anyone? Okay, so then where we're at next on that is that if you know of anybody who might be interested, somebody who's got a bit of an environmental justice tech geeky side, they want in on this. This will be fun. This will be good. It's only once every 6 days. I think it's like probably going to be half an hour every 6 days for 2 to 3 months is what it looks like right now. And you'll even get food and you'll be a part of a team. So get the word out, let people know. I think all of you know how to reach me. The manganparkna@gmail.com address works, and I don't typically put my personal out on these meetings, but if you're here, you probably have my personal email and you know how to use it. Any other thoughts or questions on that?
So Jennifer, what's the ultimate goal with regards to the airport?
I don't have an ultimate goal right now. There are people in the area who have goals, and yes, they have contacted me. But my actual goal is, first, let's test. That's one of the reasons I want to test. How do we know how to respond or what to ask for until we have concrete scientific information? So first I want the information, and then we'll go from there in my head. But Erica's already put something in there. There's a movement to require the airport to use only unleaded fuels in all of their planes. I think she put something in the chat. If you want to join that, I think you can follow that link and get involved also. There are some people who just want to shut down the airport. I'm in neither camp. I'm in the camp of let's test and figure it out. Once we have the information, then we can say things that are constructive and helpful. Otherwise, we're just like trying to, until we know what the problem really is. Let's say that lead is a problem because they are flying low leaded fuels. That's true. Nevertheless, that might not be the largest contributor. We might have more of our lung problems are coming from PM 2.5. Whatever we take on next, I want to make certain is the biggest problem. If, lead is a problem, but it's actually the second or third largest contributor to our respiratory problems, I don't want to start on our second or third. I want to start on our number one. So we need numbers to figure out what our number one problem is, because there are several different contaminants in our area that are contributing to respiratory problems. And if you read the environmental justice scans for anywhere in the South area, you'll see that we're not alone, but the levels are varying from place to place. And I also want to know why we're getting so much variance. You know, there's a chance that all of this has more to do with wind. The pocket, if you look at air traffic over the South area, the pocket gets slammed with airplanes from both International Executive Airport flying over it, yet their numbers are lower. You know, why? One thought I had is that they're on the southwest end and it's all blowing our way. So, you know, let's get some proper monitoring in. We need more monitoring. We need public reporting. And based upon what we find, we can go from there and try to get to the worst sources first. Somebody wanted to say something?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to mention this at our neighborhood concerns meeting tomorrow for Curtis Park, for those of you who don't know. And I think our folks would be interested in this. And if you don't mind, I can ask if anybody's willing to volunteer. Reason is, these planes are well into their descent when they come over the southern half of our neighborhood. I mean, they make a lot of noise over the house, you know.
I'm sure that they do. I understand completely.
Yeah.
Where I live, just, you know, less than a quarter mile from the end of the runway. So yes, I can imagine. Yeah, help from Curtis Park would be welcome.
Okay.
I can see the people in the planes when they come over my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I bought my house knowing full well the airport's been there since 1940 whatever. So I bought knowing that.
1930, I think it's 1936. I think it's a WPA airport, actually.
Okay. Well, I know my dad worked there in 1949 when they opened Allegheny. So that was the first I knew of it. So. But yeah, you know, I mean, I don't hear him anymore. It's white noise.
You know what? I don't hear them anymore either. It's funny. And actually, I consider the airport to be a good neighbor. They really do stop most of the traffic by 10 o'clock at night, and it doesn't start until 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean,
yeah,
same thing.
There's only one, and it's a Lear. You can tell it's a Lear. There's only one that comes in every once in a while at 11:30.
Yeah. Okay. But you know, overall, when I know that there's like heavy at night traffic, it's almost always when you have forest fires. So I know some of our neighbors are super proud that Mangan Park is helping with the firefighting effort. It is inconvenient for those of us who live here with all of the choppers coming and going at all times of night, but I know we kind of puff up and say, we're doing our part with the effort to save lives and save property and save our forests. So, you know, we're kind of happy about that. I don't know, you can tell me what you think, Kimberly, but I haven't found too many people who think that the airport is a huge problem for the immediate area. Do you find that there are problems with that?
No, not at all. And you know, if you're fighting forest fires, at least you're saving somebody's house and somebody's life.
Yep.
You know, as somebody whose family member lost their entire life possessions in Paradise, have at it. You want to come in every hour on the hour, go for it.
God bless you all.
Yep. Yep. So, okay. Well, I mean, and I have asthma, and I know it's from trees and grass, but that it is what it is. So, but I was just curious.
Absolutely. So, Eric, back to you. Yes, if Curtis Park wants to help out, Curtis Park can help out. Hollywood Park can help out. North City Farms can help out. Southland Park can help out. Heck, Land Park can help out. We're taking offers on who wants to get their environmental justice geek hat on and join the cause and help us track exactly what we've got going on here. And you know that any support you send us, if you want to get a monitor in your area, Mangan Park will be more than happy to help out with that too. Any other questions on the topic? Eric, I will get you some links to the environmental justice scans from the state and the federal government so that you can share that at tomorrow night's meeting.